Welcome to today's episode of Economic Perspectives. I'm Michael Reynolds, and today we're diving into a topic that's sending shockwaves through office buildings across the Western world: the growing crisis facing white-collar jobs in our modern economies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emma Chen. And Michael, this couldn't be more timely. As we're recording this in late 2025, we're witnessing what some experts are calling a fundamental transformation of professional work as we've known it for generations.
That's right, Emma. The statistics we're seeing are honestly quite alarming. According to recent data, AI could eliminate up to half of all entry-level white-collar jobs within the next 5 years. And this isn't some far-off science fiction scenario. We're already seeing the early impacts.
What's particularly interesting is how quickly this shift is happening. Just 3 years ago, generative AI was barely on the radar for most businesses. Now, according to JP Morgan research, certain tech industries like cloud computing, web search, and computer systems design basically stopped growing in employment at the end of 2022, right after ChatGPT was released.
And it's not just the tech sector feeling this impact. The legal profession, financial services, marketing, basically any field that involves processing information, creating content, or analyzing data, they're all seeing disruption. What makes this different from previous waves of automation?
That's a crucial question, Michael. Historically, automation primarily affected blue-collar manufacturing jobs or very routine white-collar tasks. But what we're seeing now is AI's ability to handle complex cognitive tasks that previously required specialized education and training. Goldman Sachs research identifies accountants, auditors, legal assistants, and even computer programmers among the occupations at highest risk.
Let's talk about the economic implications of this shift. I've seen unemployment data showing that college graduates in certain fields are experiencing unusual unemployment patterns. The rate reached 5.8% earlier this year, which is the highest in over 4 years, which is historically unusual compared to overall unemployment rates.
Yes, and there's a troubling trend for recent graduates specifically. A Stanford study from August showed that early career employees in fields most exposed to AI have experienced a 13% drop in employment since 2022 compared to more experienced colleagues in the same industries. This creates a real bottleneck for career development.
And that bottleneck has major implications for our workforce development pipeline. If entry-level positions disappear, how do people gain the experience needed to advance? It reminds me of the missing rungs on the career ladder.
Exactly. And there's a significant economic impact beyond individual careers. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report projects that while technology is expected to create about 11 million new jobs, it will simultaneously displace 9 others. That's a net positive, but the transition period will likely be extremely disruptive.
One aspect that concerns me is the potential widening of economic inequality. Those with the right technical skills and advanced expertise might thrive in this new environment, while others get left behind. We're already seeing what some call a barbell effect in the job market, growth at the high and low ends, with middle-skilled jobs getting squeezed.
The data supports that concern, Michael. Looking at wages, we're seeing a significant premium, around 56% according to PwC's Global AI Jobs Barometer, for workers with AI skills. But those advantages aren't distributed equally across the workforce.
Let's talk about the geographic dimensions of this crisis. Are all Western economies experiencing similar impacts, or are there notable differences?
That's a fascinating question, Michael. The United States and other advanced economies are at the forefront of AI development and adoption, so they're experiencing both the disruption and potential benefits earlier. According to the International Labor Organization, about 34% of jobs in high-income countries are exposed to AI, higher than a global average.
And within those economies, there are regional disparities too. Urban centers with high concentrations of knowledge workers, places like New York, London, San Francisco, they're particularly vulnerable to these disruptions.
Yes, though interestingly, we're also seeing those same cities lead in creating new types of jobs that leverage AI capabilities. It's a complex dynamic of simultaneous job destruction and creation.
We should address the counterarguments too. Some economists argue that these concerns are overblown, that AI will primarily augment human capabilities rather than replace workers wholesale. They point to similar fears that emerged with previous technological revolutions, from steam power to computers.
That's a fair point, Michael. Historical patterns suggest that technological change does ultimately create more jobs than it destroys. But the key issue is the transition period and its impacts. The Industrial Revolution eventually created prosperity, but it also caused significant suffering during the adjustment phase. And this transformation is happening at a much faster pace.
Looking at Fred economic data, professional and business services employment in the U.S. has shown concerning trends. After peaking around 22,800 employees in early 2023, the numbers have been gradually declining to around 22,500 by mid-2025. That's not a collapse, but it does suggest stagnation in a sector that had been reliably growing for decades.
And what's particularly notable is that this is happening during what's otherwise considered a fairly strong overall job market. The question becomes, what happens to white-collar employment during the next economic downturn?
J.P. Morgan's research suggests that AI could prolong the recovery of the labor market in the event of a recession, potentially creating what economists call a jobless recovery. In previous economic cycles, it was middle-skilled occupations that disappeared during downturns and never fully came back. Now, that same pattern could affect higher-skilled roles.
So, what can be done? Are there policy approaches or business strategies that might help mitigate these negative impacts while still capturing the productivity benefits of AI?
Some experts are advocating for a major focus on retraining and reskilling programs. The European Commission has announced its Union of Skills plan specifically to future-proof education and training systems across the bloc. And there are calls in the U.S. for expanded apprenticeship programs to help workers transition.
Those approaches make sense, though there's a question of scale and speed. Traditional education systems may not be agile enough to adapt quickly. We're also seeing interesting examples of companies redesigning work processes to create effective human-AI collaboration rather than simple replacement.
Right, like law firms moving away from the billable hour model that incentivized junior associates to spend countless hours on document review, tasks that AI can now handle. Instead, they're developing new roles focusing on client interaction, strategic thinking, and oversight of AI systems.
There's also growing interest in broader policy approaches, like expanded safety nets, portable benefits that aren't tied to specific employers, and even concepts like universal basic income to help manage the transition period. These ideas are gaining traction as the potential scale of disruption becomes clearer.
What about for individuals currently in white-collar professions or students preparing to enter them? What strategies should they consider?
The research suggests focusing on skills that complement rather than compete with AI, developing expertise in areas like creative problem solving, interpersonal communication, ethical judgment, and managing AI systems themselves, essentially leaning into the uniquely human capabilities that remain difficult to automate.
And staying adaptable seems crucial. The days of training for a single career that remains stable throughout one's working life may be ending. Continuous learning and periodic reinvention will likely become the norm.
Absolutely. The data shows that workers with AI skills are seeing 2x faster wage growth, and companies that effectively integrate AI are experiencing 3x higher revenue growth. So there are opportunities amid the disruption for those who can adapt.
As we wrap up today's discussion, what's your outlook for the future of white-collar work in Western economies, Emma? Are you optimistic or concerned about what lies ahead?
I'd say I'm cautiously optimistic, but with a strong emphasis on the need for proactive management of this transition. The productivity gains from AI could ultimately create tremendous prosperity, but without thoughtful approaches to sharing those benefits widely, we risk creating deeper social divisions and economic